Welcome back to Reconnect, a podcast where I'll be interviewing small business owners, entrepreneurs, and many others as we connect, learn, and grow together. Join us as I interview Kelly Gable-Stocker, owner of Ships and Trips, on today's episode. Kelly, it's a pleasure to have you on the Reconnect podcast, our third guest.
Oh my gosh, 3 is my lucky number actually, so
Perfect.
There you go.
There we go. It was meant to be from the start. I always knew it was meant to be, but now it's really meant to be.
Now it's really meant to be.
Yeah. So you're a travel agent.
Yes.
For 35 years. You just hit your 35-year anniversary
Started
this
when
August.
I was 10.
10?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got that now. Tell us what inspired you to be a travel agent, and how did you get started?
So my dad was the administrator at the Kiwanis Manor downtown here from the time I was in kindergarten until he retired.
Yeah.
And he started escorting cruises back in the 80s when cruising just started to become popular. He started escorting groups.
Gotcha.
And
So
he
would
fell in love with it.
He would find
first.
people, and then he would take them to
From the senior center, things like that.
Nice.
These retired people who've never, most of them never done anything like that before because
Right.
it was new.
Yeah.
So he would escort groups, and one year he took my sister and I on a cruise, and I fell in love. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be a cruise director. No, that didn't happen. But then as time went on and I went to college and I went to Tiffin University,
Right.
and Tiffin University had a great hospitality management program at the time, a very large program actually.
Yeah.
They owned the Pioneer Mill at the time, and
Yeah, I
all
remember
the
that.
hospitality
They worked there, right?
management majors worked there.
Yeah.
We had a ball. Well, they had a travel and tourism class that I had to take.
Okay.
And there was an owner of a travel agency here in Tiffin, and he taught the class. And I was like, I really like this. I want to do this. And I told my dad, I said, I think I want to be a travel agent. And, it's all part of that hospitality umbrella.
Right,
So
for sure.
and he's like, yeah, I said, we should open a travel agency, Dad. And my dad was like, yeah, okay, But then as he started escorting more groups and things like that, he kind of thought, well, okay.
Right.
And then we actually rented right beside Balowicks. And I think it's a lawyer that's in there now. But we rented that building off of Ethel May Sager, who owned Sager's, which is now Simply Susan's.
Right.
And my dad had worked for her through college. And he said, hey, I'm looking for a retail front, thinking maybe downtown. And at this time, downtown wasn't what it was today.
Yeah.
But we went downtown and we remodeled that whole building. And we spent 10 years there until 9/11 hit. Gotcha. And nobody was traveling. And Dad decided, okay, I think we're going to hang this up for now. And so I took it home to run the last clients out. And then I was just going to probably be a stay-at-home mom for a while. I just had Connor. And as we got to the end, clients were like, you've been booking us for 10 years. Can you book one more trip for us? Do this, do this. And now here I am. I've been working from home for 25 years. Before it was the cool thing to do, before COVID.
Yeah.
And now I'm just still doing it and busier than ever.
Yeah, good to hear.
Went through 9/11, went through COVID, both very tough spots to be in.
Could only imagine.
Now we're on the upswing again.
Post-pandemic.
Yes.
People feel a little bit more comfortable traveling now.
Everybody's ready. Everybody's tired of, what they had during COVID, where they couldn't go anywhere. So now people are like, don't want to wait anymore. We want to go. And it's been, since Cyber Monday 2 years ago, it's been gangbusters.
Has it always been shipping trips or?
Yes, always.
Always. So that was the name.
And we actually specialized in cruises back then, but said and trips for other things.
Gotcha.
And now we're more trips than we are cruises.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to be escorting a group cruise to Italy, Turkey, and Greece next September.
Nice.
And I had a Zoom meeting with my BDM. She did it, and we invited people on Facebook. And I've got one cabin left, and I just opened it 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. People are ready.
That's killing it then.
It is.
Plus, I made a trip over to Europe, all those countries.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be.
And I'm excited to do the
of
cruise.
history
I haven't been on a cruise since 2013. So
Okay.
it'll be quite a while, 11
Yeah.
years since I had been on one. I've been doing the all-inclusive thing, and I kind of specialize in that. So I do
Right.
that a lot. But for the cruise, I decided, or for Europe, I decided, I think a cruise is going to be better. I had done Ireland once and did the bus thing, and you're just packing and unpacking and spending more time traveling. I want to sleep while I travel and wake up there, unpack once, pack back up and go home.
Yeah. Now, is that package like they have like a set itinerary for you guys, or?
So the cruise is calling. We're leaving out of Rome, and we're going to fly in a day before and spend a night in the city center in Rome, so people can be on their own, go to dinner, kind of do the fountain and all of that kind of stuff. Then we get on the ship and we go to Naples, Sicily, Ephesus, Santorini, and Athens.
Wow.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited it's like a bucket list for me. I actually had it booked in 2020 and it got canceled, and then rebooked in 2021 and got canceled. And so last year I had clients that are like, COVID. Are you going to do that? And I'm like, I'm waiting one more year because they were still having some issues with COVID on the ships last year and, things like that. And it's like, I want to wait till it's a whole year of not any troubles with that kind of stuff. I don't want to take people's money and then they're quarantined to a cabin or something like that. I'm like, no, that's a nightmare.
Bring us back. I'm jumping ahead, but bring us back to COVID time. And what was that like? I'm sure it was just a mess.
Pure
you
hell.
had people out of the country. I'm pretty sure. I think you told me a story that you had like people out of the country trying to rebook their flights, rebook places to stay. It was a mess, I'm sure.
It was a mess. But I had one couple that were in Jamaica, and we had to get everyone back by midnight on Sunday.
Wow.
And I called them and I said, okay, I've got you this flight, And they're like, we're just going to stay. And I'm like, no, you have to come back. They're like, it's only 2 weeks though. We're just going to stay. I'm like, oh no, you're coming back. And thank God, because they would have been trapped in Jamaica for quite some time. Right. But that was a little bit crazy. I'm all international travel, so I was just shut down in the water, and that was scary. I do a little bit of Disney for the U.S., that's it, and then Hawaii and Alaska, mostly cruises. But I remember I was at Empire, and I got a text saying Disney World was closing down that next day. I just started crying. I thought, if Disney, who is the pioneer of pretty much everything travel, if they're closing, this is not good, And I got home and I was just freaking out. And, everybody's like, well, you had some time off. No, it was sitting on hold, rebooking people for hours because it was supposed to be 2 weeks. Yeah. And then it just kept getting extended. So every time the people got canceled again, I would sit on hold again. And I'm not kidding. Every time I would call, it was a 3-hour minimum on hold, listening to the same music. You're not the only person
probably trying to do rescheduling.
Because you're trying to save your business. So at that time, you're doing everything you can do to make sure that your clients are rebooked and they're taken care of and that they feel comfortable. And then it was new rule every day because now we're dealing with all these cancellations, which the travel industry has never dealt with before. And they're trying to, make it so people can rebook. And, normally if you don't have insurance, you don't get to. And nowadays I will not sell a trip without insurance. No way.
Yeah. I remember you booked our honeymoon to St. Lucia. It was like the honeymoon destination for that year, 2018. And I think you even said like, you should get insurance. And I was like, are you sure? Like, it's more money. And you're like, just get insurance. That way it's your honeymoon. If anything happens, then you don't have to worry about it.
And it's not just for cancellation. If a flight cancels, if your luggage is lost, if you have an emergency and you have to get back home for a family member. I mean, there's so many things that insurance, everybody thinks, well, I'm not canceling. Yeah. Well,
life still happens.
Yes, life happens, and you say that. And I used to be afraid to ask honeymooners because I felt like I thought in case they break up. But it's medical, so that's
I know my
not
wife
gonna work.
definitely crossed her mind on how to divorce me in a foreign country. So that's what I get for going to an all-inclusive resort. Thanks, Kelly. I missed that spring break trip, and
you made up for it.
I made up for it on my honeymoon. No, we had a blast, and everybody there was pretty much newly married, so it was pretty easy to have a conversation. And
we met a lot of people. We stayed at the resort you guys did. Back when it first opened. And we met so many people and just had so much fun. And everybody was like 20s and 30s. And we had a really great time.
Yeah.
And I know that Sandals Resorts, there's so many of them that, some are a little bit more party, some are a little bit quieter, some, gear more towards the honeymooners, some, and you just kind of have to know how to profile people and, to decide which one that is the right fit for
And you
them.
provided us options as well. Do you do that? I'm sure with most of your clients, you're like,
you always have to profile people and ask a lot of questions and kind of give the heads up. Like if they pick a hotel, like, okay, that one's pretty party, just to let you know,
heads up.
Or like, okay, that one's pretty quiet. Is that what you're looking for? Because sometimes, and if you're really busy at work, you might want just a quiet one. And sometimes, you're like, okay, we're going to go down and party and have fun,
some fun, for sure.
So.
And I liked Sandals too, because I think there was 3 resorts in St. Lucia, and we were able to like take a bus over to one day. We went with a few couples, got dinner, and hung out on the beach.
Did you do the Halcyon one? That was the one that was on the Long Beach.
Yeah, the Long Beach. Yep. Yeah.
And that was the quieter one.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet. They had like the boating activities versus where we were. It was just like a short little beach. And we had to go on a trip. Yeah, we had a little cove, and the waters were pretty rough a few days. So like they didn't even allow us into the water and stuff like that. And then we also went in September, so it was a bit humid, but
we went in October when we went. We had like one day of torrential downpouring.
Yeah.
But we just sat in the jacuzzis and drank, so it was all right.
I don't think we actually had any rain, which was,
that's good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
So what is one of your like most memorable moments or bookings or client experiences that you could share with everybody?
What do you mean? Like one that puts the fear of God in me?
No. One that brings joy. A joyful moment. Maybe it was even back when you were still with your dad, opening up downtown or a client that really, really stood out to you, that they just it was such a memorable moment and they thanked you or something like that.
Yeah. I'm really lucky because as long as I've been doing this, I have a lot of really loyal clients that I've been booking for many, many years through many special events in their lives and, help them make sure that everything was celebrated the way that it should be and things like that. So it's really hard to pinpoint that, and also like in the last 2 years with all the flight cancellations and things like that, it's been very extremely stressful. Stuff that happens normally now didn't happen for like a whole year or two. You wouldn't have a canceled flight. You could go a whole year or two without a canceled flight. Now I can't hardly go a month without at least 2 of them. Like for example, I had a couple in Greece for their honeymoon. Let's see, today is Thursday. They texted me on Tuesday. They were at the airport in Athens and they were on a delay. They probably landed an hour ago from 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Every step along the way, they've had nothing but issues with those flights.
Yeah.
And the day that they were flying out, they were at the airport and I get an email from Apple Vacations. Hey, the hotel that your clients are staying in is closed for the season. I'm like, what? They are at the airport right now. I just texted with them. And so I texted her and I said, hey, your flight or your hotel is closed. We got to get you a different hotel. I'm like, do you trust me to do this? And she's like, yes. So they gave me some choices. I said, okay, this one. Okay, so I thought I'm done. I send it to her. Okay, she's getting on the plane. It's yours. Within a half hour, they call me. Oh, that one's sold out now. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I told her, I said, okay, they were flying to Frankfurt. I said, I will get you another hotel. Check your email when you get to Frankfurt. So luckily, I got her one. And it looked gorgeous. It was absolutely a private pool over, all of this. Yeah. And they get to Frankfurt, and she was like, thank you. This is amazing. We love this, da-da-da-da. Right. The next day, they've landed. I knew. I was watching their flight. Yeah. They landed. All of a sudden, I get a call from Apple. What's their flight schedule? Because we need to know for the owner to come pick them up. If not, they won't get a key because there's not a front desk. These are villas. Text them, where are you? in the taxi cab heading towards the hotel. I'm like, oh no, no. I mean, it just couldn't have been more of a mess.
Right.
And it was just absolutely things out of my control, you
Yeah.
know, like nobody knew any of this. And I started to get angry then. And I'm like, listen, this is ridiculous. So then now they had a great time. And they get to the airport. And now they're just getting home. They're probably not even in Tiffin yet from Tuesday at 4 o'clock our time.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just.
And is that, I don't want to say like the new normal.
That's
or
what they
anything
keep
like
saying.
That, but yeah.
That's what they keep saying. But in all honesty, had she booked it on her own, she would have been on that flight and she would have got to her hotel and guess what? They're closed. And she would have been trying to call the States to get that all figured out. So luckily, I was the one who got to go through the stress for her and get it fixed.
Right. So would you say that's one of, I guess, like
a very big benefit?
Valuable attribute of travel agents, especially.
All of the things since COVID, I wouldn't want to travel without a travel agent who can let you know, because it's still new rule every day a lot of times. And a lot of times when these things happen, you just have to be creative. And luckily, it's been happening so much. I know what to do because I immediately, when her flight was delayed, started texting her. If this scenario happens, this. If this scenario happens, this. If this scenario happens, this. You know, at one point, she's like, you're so smart. I'm like, oh, no, I've just been through it.
Right.
You know,
and that's what advantages of working with an experienced travel agent versus maybe like a newer person who hasn't gone through those experiences and might get a little bit more emotional and stressed out during the process than someone who's, all right, it's stressful, but I know what to do.
And I'll tell you another thing that happened with COVID was everybody at the hotels, the cruise ships, they all got laid off. Right. So guess what happened now? Now they're trying to hire all new employees, all at the same time. And I've worked in the business long enough that when I get an answer that doesn't sound right, I know it's not right. And then I hang up and call back to find out. But if I was a travel agent, you know, that's new, that came on after post-COVID, and somebody told me that, I'm going to believe them, right? Sure. Because that's their job. They should know. But I get it a lot. Yeah. Like this whole thing for this honeymoon should have never happened, but that's exactly what happened. Right. You know, you've got a lot of new people who don't know what they're doing, and then they're, you know, flying by the seat of their pants at the last minute, and then I'm trying to help these guys. Luckily, my clients trusted me enough to take care of it because I couldn't ask their opinions, you know, to pick the best one and take care of it and things like that. So,
now, do you build that trust just from having a relationship with the individuals, or what's your process? Say someone completely new, they listen to this podcast and they come reach out to you. What's the process look like for them?
I think that I'm very detail oriented, and I think that helps people trust me because I might ask 1,000 questions and I might tell them, like, I may ask you this again and again, or remind you this again and again and again because I'm paranoid. Right. Like the whole passport thing. Now, almost all of Europe, most of the Caribbean, is your passport needs to be valid 6 months after you return. Okay, so no longer is it the 10-year and it expires and I can travel on it. No, 6 months after you return. Don't ask me why. I used to think it was because if somebody got stuck for COVID down in the islands or, you know, in a different country and then their passport expired. Right. But they're all doing it now. They're all just jumping on board with it. So if you don't know that and you book a trip to Europe and you go to do your 24-hour prior check-in on your flight and it says, sorry, your passport's not valid. Right. You're not getting on. Wow. You know, like, so when I talk to people, I'm always like, make sure your passports have 6 months post validity. And then I type that out on text to them, on email to them. So like everywhere they might look. Because some people are more text people, some people are more email people.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, so I'm like, and every time if you call me and say, hey, should I be doing my seating right now or should I wait till later? Yeah, do it. Go ahead, do it now. And don't forget, passports must be. Yeah, we got new ones. And they kind of get annoyed with me. We have new ones. Remember I told you that? No, I don't. And I'm just going to say it every time I talk to you. Sure. Just because I don't want you to have any issues whatsoever. So.
And even though you work from home, we were just talking before the podcast, like you'll go meet with them, maybe like Bailiwicks or get dinner with them or Zoom.
I do that with a lot of out-of-town people and things like that. I'll do Zoom. Yeah. So...
Nice.
I would say like my best friend in travel for marketing is Facebook. And I do a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that with BDMs from like sandals and stuff like that. And we get people watching. Then if they watch, they get like dinner for two on the beach and their choice of maybe a spa credit or a catamaran party cruise
Right.
or something like that if they book within 2 weeks of that time period. And then I'm picking up people from
Yeah.
all over the U.S.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's a benefit.
It's helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I bet.
Very helpful.
Especially living in a county with like 50,000 people.
Right. I have more people out of town than I do
Yeah.
in half the time.
Do you?
So, yeah.
And again, not only your experience, but you don't just do stuff only in Tiffin. You've traveled down to Columbus and,
Yeah.
you're pretty spread out and,
Right,
and get to
right.
meet people all over the place. And you, as a travel agent, show people that you travel and you go to all these different places. And I love seeing you
I
on
know, I
social
hate
media
that part of
posts.
my job.
I'm sure it's the worst. What tips can you share, for responsible travelers? Maybe not even anybody that's just going through you, but say they do book a trip. What can you share? What to look out for? The passport probably is the biggest change, I would assume.
I would say the passport is the biggest thing. Also, like knowing how far in advance to be at the airport. If it's international, 3
Right.
hours. If it's in the States, 2 hours. People are like, no, we don't really need to do that. No,
Yeah.
you really
Right.
do need to do that.
Yeah.
That plane will take off and you will not be on it.
Yep.
And you're not going to be very happy when that happens. So I think those two things, just being on time, being early, being patient.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing because none of us have control over it.
Sure.
A lot of the flight cancellations are due to pilots and steward and flight attendants timing out on
Yeah.
delays.
Right.
They can only fly so many hours, whether they're flying or not. They have so many hours. So if there's a mechanical issue with the flight and it takes them past their hours, now you got to wait for another crew to come in or they're canceling. I mean, there's so many reasons.
Right.
Because people are like, why is this happening? There's a shortage.
Yeah.
There's a shortage on flight attendants.
Right.
There's a shortage on pilots. And
Because pretty much when the world shut down,
right.
everyone had to go. I mean, we still have bills to pay,
Right. They had to get
they had to go
other
get
jobs and
jobs
maybe
or
decided they liked
they
that
liked it
better,
better, sure.
things
Yeah.
like that. So I do have several clients who are like, I would like to be a travel agent. And about a year ago, I had this one client. She goes, I would like to be a travel agent. Do you ever hire? I said, if I hated you, I would hire you.
Oh, no.
I said, it has just been a nasty
Yeah.
mess lately with all the new rules. And she was like, oh.
Did you bring on anybody new during that time, or was it all pre-pandemic? Or?
So I have 3 people under me, and I did bring in one new one, but she had already worked in the industry in a different area. So, she kind of knew what she was doing and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But right now I have no time to hire anybody.
Right.
Like I really could use a personal assistant right now, but that would mean finding the time to be able to train them and overlook. And I'm such a micromanager sometimes with that kind of stuff because I'm so paranoid about mistakes that I don't know how much I could trust somebody that hasn't been in the industry before to be that detailed and to know what to look for.
Sure.
So, yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out some ways to have a work-life balance. I don't know if you noticed on my Facebook on Fridays I've been putting out of the office because I've been working 7 days a week for 2 years.
Yeah.
And
that gets exhausting.
You
You
get a
definitely
little
don't want to burn
burned
yourself
out.
out.
Yeah,
or anything like
and
that.
I could feel that coming on, and I thought,
Right.
okay, I need to start taking some time off and,
Yeah.
having some time to have fun.
For sure.
It's been too long.
Yeah. So what are the destinations for 2024? Is there any?
I am very
and coming.
surprised by the fact that I've always been a Caribbean Mexico.
Yeah.
That's been my specialty. All of a sudden, I'm getting everybody wanting Europe and things like that. And that's another reason why I decided, it's time. It's time to
go
do
the
this
trip
cruise. And I thought, I'm booking this a year in advance. The ship is almost sold out. Wow. That's how many people are just ready to spread their wings and do something different.
Right.
You know, and the prices are good. They're still good with the cruises. The all-inclusives, they're just going up, 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 up. And I have people that I booked in the spring for the fall, and now they're wanting people to come along, and the prices are like almost 50% more.
Right. So when you book in advance, is your dollar amount for your trip locked in?
Yes.
Basically, so if
It's
it does
like-
go up, then So plan ahead is what you're saying.
It used to be a lot of people would wait to the last minute for a last minute deal. I'm just looking for a deal type
for a deal
thing.
sort of thing, right?
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
The earlier, the better.
Yeah.
You know, book as soon as you can book because the prices just continue to go up. We're in that wave right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially with the economy across the world and all of the things that are going on, unfortunately.
And to be honest, everybody's been wanting to travel, so they're willing to spend a little more because they hadn't for a few years.
Yeah.
And as long as people are doing that, it's gonna stay that way.
Right.
You know, it's not gonna go down. But in the defense of the hospitality industry that took such a hard hit, we're still trying to make up for lost income.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, well, you guys are doing good now. Yeah. But try 2.5 years of no income.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're just trying to make it up.
Right.
You know, we all have a job that,
Yeah.
you know.
And not only on your end and the business end, but the resorts that you're going to and just getting back after the pandemic and everything like that. Like, one, it takes time, but two, it takes the willingness of people to actually want to work at the resorts and thing and
right and
those
get back
spaces
into
and
that.
get back
Luckily,
into
like
it.
down in the Caribbean, those are good jobs to have.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, they're all new. So again, just like this end of it, people are new. They don't know what they're doing. You know, when you've got all new employees and you're trying to teach them and they're trying to learn, things might not go off as smoothly. So for people traveling now, I think the biggest thing is have patience.
Yeah.
And know that it's probably not going to be exactly perfect every time. And it could be. You could be lucky.
Yeah.
You know, I took 3 trips this last year and all 3 went fine. You know, I was waiting. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. I had my eyes on other flights, things like that. I was preparing for the cancellations or preparing for, you know, they overbooked and they're going to move me here. And I got lucky on those 3.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And I know we touched on it a little bit, but you ensure the safety of your travelers and your clients that you work with by just being a detail-oriented individual and staying on top of notifications when you receive them. You just dive right into it, get the work done.
yeah.
And
And a lot
push
of times
along.
those notifications aren't fun to relay to the clients,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
the sooner the better. Rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Let's get it fixed. You
For
know,
sure.
it may
Yeah.
not be exactly what you wanted. And I think that's the biggest thing. You just have to be able to go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
And then when things like that happen, this honeymoon couple, they were amazing.
Yeah.
She broke down last night. She was crying last night, which I don't blame her. She's exhausted.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you have insurance. I said, do you just want to stay put in New Jersey for tonight? Get a hotel that will be paid for,
Right.
and we'll get you booked on a different flight tomorrow morning, you know, and we'll work that all out with insurance. And she's like, I just want to go home and sleep with my dogs.
Aw.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I get that. got
I
2
know.
dogs myself.
I know. I felt so bad. That just got my heart when she said that because, you know, Harrison, he's a little spoiled.
Right. My dogs are spoiled as well. Yeah, I would want to go back to the patience thing. I think, one, we live in such a high-paced time
Instant
in society
gratification.
all the time, every day, and you're going on vacation.
Right.
So leave all that stuff behind.
Have fun. Relax.
Who
try.
cares? You know, it's not fun when your flight gets delayed or canceled or pushed back. But like you said, most people have insurance now, and it's completely out of your control. And if it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do about it is your mindset and go to the bar, grab a drink. You know,
I had some
That's what airports
clients
are for.
last year, and it was for a New Year's trip down to the Caribbean. They were flying, and the flight got canceled. And their kids have a real tight schedule because they're in sports, things like that. So they have a really tight schedule. So after about 6 hours of going back and forth with the airlines, at one point we had flights for them the next day. And by the time I just texted them and said this, and they said yes, it was gone. I'm like, oh my gosh, because of the time of year.
Right.
They ended up renting a car at Cleveland Airport and driving to DC to catch a flight the next day. They got there probably about 11 midnight, right in there, and had to be up at 4 a.m. into the airport.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So we're renting them a car, getting them a hotel at the airport. I mean, it's crazy, but you know what? Then they only missed 1 day of their trip. And yes, it was a long, horrible day, but they went with the flow, and we got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never had anybody do something like that
Yeah.
before, but I Googled how long of a drive from Cleveland Airport to DC, and I was like, okay, I have an idea. Like, and they were like, okay, we're going to do
Right.
it. And I said, okay, go get the car.
Yeah. I remember I had some buddies traveling, I want to say right around the pandemic time, and they couldn't find a rental car. They ended up renting a U-Haul and driving
great.
the U-Haul all the way home. But hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
That's being creative, thinking out of the box.
Right? Yeah, good for them. Yeah.
I like that. Hey, I might put that in my book for somebody
There you go.
sometime.
Yeah. So anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners, or
No, I think
anything you want
that's.
to talk about?
I think that's good. I mean, I could tell stories all day long
Sure.
if you wanted me to.
I
I
bet.
mean, I could.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the biggest things are keep an eye on your passport before you book the trip. Look at your passport. That's one thing I do now is I ask, what's the expiration date? I say, I need your full legal names as they are on your passport, your birth dates, and the expiration. So
Right.
I can check it.
Yeah.
You know, because I used to tell people, you know, double check. And then they like, yeah, we will. And they don't until just before the trip
Right.
because they think it is. You know, with COVID, I swear everybody lost 2 years of their life.
Yeah.
You know, to where we just forget, like,
It even
hey,
happened.
you know, like, it's about time that passport
Right.
must be, you know, must be ready to expire and things like that. So that's an extra step I take, you know, to just, and it sounds like an easy step, but I'll tell you, it took me about 1.5 years to add that step,
Right.
you know.
Sure.
And now I'm like, okay. And then I look at it, and I just had somebody yesterday booking for a wedding in November, and his passport expires in December. And I said, any chance of you getting that passport between now and November? And he lives in New York City, so he might have more
Right.
resources with getting it than we do here
Sure.
in Tiffin, Ohio. Because it used to be people would have to drive to Philadelphia to get a passport the same day.
Wow.
Now Detroit has it, but they've been pretty busy,
Right.
you know, but we at least have Detroit now. Because I'd have clients that the same week of their trip, they're driving to Philadelphia to get a passport
wow.
and coming back because otherwise they're not going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot.
So don't do that.
Yeah,
Folks, all
don't
right?
do that. Look at your passport before you book your trip.
There you go. And you are on social media on Facebook. Do you have a
Mm-hmm.
website that people can visit at all?
I do.
What
I
is
do. It's www.shipsandtrips.com.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the description for everybody with your
Okay.
social links and everything.
And it's the
like
letter
that.
N, ships
Right.
and trips.
Yeah, exactly. Kelly, it was a pleasure to have you on
Thank
the
you.
podcast.
It's been great.
always
I was
great talking
looking
to you.
forward to this.
I don't know. We're about time, but yeah, Chris was telling me that he saw you at the Wall Street Pub and Grill, and you were like so excited. And you're like, I can't wait.
I know.
And so
I know.
It was awesome.
And I'm so proud of you. I've
thank
known you
you.
for so long, like since you were a student
Yeah.
at TU,
Yeah.
and you were friends and always came to my house all the time. And
Right.
I'm just so proud of your new business
Thank
and your
you.
new venture and how it's evolved so much already
know.
and continuing
Yeah.
to evolve.
It
Congratulations.
always will. Thank you.
I'm just so excited for you and your future.
Thank you,
I
Kelly.
really am.
I look forward to it as well. All right.
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reconnect. I hope you enjoyed this insightful conversation that I had with Kelly Gable-Stocker, owner of Ships and Trips. Until next time, keep forging your path ahead of discovery and success. Take care, everybody.